Welcome to Creating Cooperative Kids. I'm your host, Bill Corbett. Today's show is dedicated to understanding the modern American teenager. From knowing how to connect with them to bullying and teen dating violence, we're going to cover the most critical issues surrounding this interesting species of mankind. Now, to get started, I want to offer some humor in the style of David Letterman with the top 10 definitions of a teenager. This is where I'd have a drum roll if we had the budget for a show orchestra, but never mind. Here we go. Number 10, alternative descriptions of a teenager. Someone who can't remember to walk the dog each day, but never forgets a phone number if he heard it once. Number 9, a Weight Watcher who goes on a diet by giving up candy bars for breakfast. Number 8, someone who can pick out the voice of a friend from 3 blocks away, but can't hear his mother calling him from the next room. Number 7, a computer whiz who can operate any new gadget within seconds, but can't make the bed. Number 6, a connoisseur of 2 types of fine music, loud and very loud. Number 5, a person who can bike for miles to see her friend, but is usually too tired to help with the dishes. Number 4, it's your own reality show, but with fewer commercials. Number 3, someone who will pitch in and help clean every room in the house, as long as it's someone else's house. Number 2, a female who frequently says, oh my gosh, or a male who says, yo, sup. And the number 1 alternative description of a teenager, painfully funny at many times and at other times just painful. Join me now for another episode of Creating Cooperative Kids. The toddler phase can be real challenging in child rearing, and then things seem to get a little easier for a little while. But then with the onset of adolescence and hormones, we're convinced that aliens have invaded the bodies of our once sweet and loving kids. Now let me offer you 6 tips for raising teenagers to keep them safe and your sanity intact. So the first thing that I want to offer is to understand that how important it is to accept your child to have developed a parent allergy. Some experts call it an allergy because they become allergic to parents, and there's a very scientific reason that that happens. When children move into the adolescent phase, what they begin to do psychologically is they shed their baby self, if you will. What happens is in order for them to grow and mature, they have to discard their baby self, and one of the problems is, guess who's attached to their baby self? You, the parents. So that's why children sometimes, or teens, appear to not want to be with you. They're embarrassed by you, and this is a very normal evolution. So I encourage you to just relax over the whole issue. Number 2, you must know their friends and know the parents of their friends. See, you can do all the great parenting in the world, but if their influence from outside the home, from other people, you need to know who those people are and what those influences are. We can only do an awesome job within our household. We can't control what other people do, so you have to be well aware of the influences that are affecting your child. That's why it's always a good idea, and I tell parents, always have their friends over your house. If you're not comfortable with them going over a house where they use different methodologies or no methodology, that's where you want the kids to spend time over your house and less time with your child over theirs. Number 3, ban entertainment electronics in the bedrooms. Now, this is a toughie. Now, some of you may have already given permission for them to have laptops and Nintendos in handheld devices, but I really encourage you to ban them from the bedrooms, and for a very important reason. Adolescents are very curious. It is very normal for them to want to investigate and be curious about things. And they're going to do it more in privacy. Now, there's a lot of things that they can run into on the internet, but it's really a good idea to have that exposure to the internet out in open spaces where you can monitor what's going on. The internet is not an evil thing on its own. There's just things on there they don't need access to yet. And they're going to be curious. We can't be angry with them. We can't get upset. It's just something that's going to happen. Number 4, remain calm, and here's the hard part, participate in their bantering. You see, they're going to want to argue with you. They're great little lawyers. They want things to be certain ways, and I encourage parents to participate in it. Do not get angry when they try to argue with you to get certain privileges, to get certain things. Do it. Just remain calm. Let them have their voice heard. There's been so many studies that have been published where they interviewed teenagers, and they said they really felt closest to their parents if they felt comfortable arguing. So we need to let them argue. We need to let them ask for things. Doesn't mean they're always going to get things. Just it's important for us not to get angry when they're asking for things. Number 5, turn responsibilities over to them, such as laundry, waking themselves up. And one of the problems that I see with parents is they're afraid to transfer some of this power over and responsibility because they're afraid they're going to work themselves out of a job. So it's so important that we transfer what's appropriate. If they're 11, it might be time to give them a training session on doing the laundry and how to operate machinery. If they're a certain age, and even as young as 6 and 7, it's time for them to wake themselves up. So as a parent, your job is to provide them with an operating alarm clock and let consequences do the speaking. The last one, number 6, is let them have a say in things. Now this is really hard for us because most of us were born and raised at a time where we had no say. Our parents said, you're going to do as I say when I tell you to do it. So we've got that wiring. We are trained that way, and that's resident in our subconscious. And it's so hard for us to break out of that. It's so hard for us to let them have a say in things. So I'm always asking parents to, when you're going to come up with rules of the house or when homework should be done, your job isn't to be the authoritative figure and tell them when it's going to get done. Your job is to include them in that decision making. Take turns going back and forth with coming up with changes and with rules at home. You see, a teenager who feels that they had a say in a process, they may not have gotten what they wanted, but at least they feel like they had a say in it. They feel like they're more part of the family. They're more likely to cooperate. They're more likely to do the things that you truly want them to do. So it's so important that they feel heard, that they feel understood. You know, for example, I touched on before about homework. Let them decide when they're going to do the homework. Now, you're the parent. You're the coach. It doesn't mean they get immediately what they want. It's just let them come to the table and have a process to be able to feel that they had a say in what the changes were. And when they do, you'll find incredible changes in the way they cooperate and participate at home. Raising teenagers is never easy, so perhaps I've added a few entries to your parent playbook for more peace and cooperation at home. But one thing that we're never prepared for is when our kids are bullied at school. Now, coming up in the next segment, we're going to get a teenager's perspective on the increasing problem of bullying to help us parents better understand what our kids are feeling and going through. Stay with me. I'll be right back after this short break.